have you ever thought about refusing a client before? So someone comes up to you, maybe you don't like the cut of his jib or her jib, or they've said something to you that you found quite offensive and just gone, you know what, I don't want to work with you. Um,
Um, yes.
yeah. And
I
have you actually gone through with that, or have you just bitten your tongue and taken the money?
no, I did actually do the job. In fact, it was a wedding. If I've never, it's never happened to commercial clients, but it happened with a wedding where we had somebody who'd contacted us who wanted a wedding video, and he was the guy that contacted us was paying for it as a present for the bride and groom. Now he wasn't a videographer, but he suddenly thought he was a filmmaker, and we gave him a price, and he came back with 100 questions, and how he wanted this filming, how he wanted certain things filming. I actually sent him an email back saying that we weren't the right people for him. What he wanted wasn't what we do. We're very adaptable. We film in our own a certain style, but we can always do things however the customer wants. But this was going too far, because I knew what was going to happen was that we were going to produce a perfectly good video, but he was going to complain about it. In other words, he
Mm,
would never have been happy with, regardless what we do, he would not have been happy with what we would have produced.
mm.
And so I said to him, just, we're not going to be able to do it. I'd prefer you to use somebody else. And he didn't like that. And he then came back to me and saying, look, let me sort of clarify. Here's what I'm looking for. It's not too far different from what you say. Anyway, we ended up doing it.
Yeah,
And to frankly, it was a bit of a nightmare on the day, because he was
yeah.
directing us on the day and I couldn't concentrate on what we were
Mm,
doing. It was a bit of a funny story at the end of it, because
mm.
the bride and groom really liked the video. But he,
He didn't, did
what, well, what
he?
happened? What happened was he sent an email, and his message crossed at the same time
Mm.
that the couple sent me an email, purely by coincidence. And they said to me they were really happy with it. Thank me very much. He put in his email that there's a few things that the bride and groom would like changing. So, and these emails came to us within 2 minutes of one another. Okay. And anyway, so yes, that was the only time I said that I didn't, I think you
Mm.
should find somebody
I
else.
mean, I
But
think that's really down to sort of working. There's no sort of ethical reason why you wouldn't want to work with that
no,
person.
not,
Just
no.
that he was being a bit of a pain in the bum, basically.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I didn't want to disappoint him. I didn't want to disappoint the
yeah,
bride
no,
and
I get that.
groom. I wanted to give him what he wanted, but at the same
Mm.
time, what some of the things that he was asking for weren't actually realistic.
Well, the reason I ask is because I was reading about this. I was reading an article on F stoppers. You know, I like F stoppers, right? So I was reading this article on it, and it's something that happened in America, of course. And basically, a photographer. Now, his name is a strange name. Actually, his name is Bob. That's quite obvious. That's a normal name. Bob
Up
Updegrove.
to Grove, yeah.
Updegrove. I've not heard that surname before. But anyway, so basically, it's a photographer in Virginia who refused to shoot a wedding for a couple purely because this couple it was a same-sex marriage, basically. So I think Mr. Updegrove is rather religious, and he doesn't. Well, he doesn't believe. So he believed that marriage is meant to be a unique and sacrificial relationship between one man and one woman, that points people to Jesus Christ, sacrificial covenant with the church. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not overly au fait with that. To be honest with you, I don't particularly sort of, yeah, I don't agree with that particular statement, because I'll photograph anyone who's getting married. I don't have any particular religious beliefs, I guess. But um, I so
I want
basically
to,
he refused. He
yeah.
refused that to do it, and I think this couple has taken him to court, and Bob Updegrove has actually won. Now, as much as I don't like what Bob Updegrove did, I don't like the fact he refused to his services because of their
Mm,
sexuality. I don't like that. However, I do think this is probably the right conclusion. I think photographers should have the right to say, no, I don't want to work with you. Even if I think his reasoning is deplorable and the reasons are deplorable, I still think people should have the right to say, no, I'm not going to work with you. And just to put it into a different text frame, right? If, and I'm not saying this is any correlation between these people at all, right? But let's say, someone who you had views who you disagreed with. It could be anything, right? So let's say a racist faction wanted you to take their photographs, and you were like, actually, I'm not comfortable with this. No, I think you need to find somebody else. I don't think there'd be any uproar with the general media or whatever, because actually lots of people go, actually, I wouldn't want to do that too. But because obviously this is part of the LGBTQ community, and it seems like an abhorrent view that Bob Updegrove has. That's why there's an uproar. But actually, the decision is still the same. The decision is someone has refused to work with someone because they don't agree with whatever it is that they're about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of sense. I want to pick up on a couple of things there, Mark. First of all, we could very easily move this to a religious conversation, couldn't we?
Yes, I don't want to do that.
No, we don't. We don't want to do that. But the thing is what has happened to love thy neighbor, what has happened to being a good Christian and being understanding and that type of thing. Okay, so that's probably as far as deep as into the religious aspect I want to get, because
I don't just want to pick on the Christianity. There's a few religions who have this issue as well.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah, but I do believe that is there a religion that anywhere that says you should discriminate against others? Because if there is a religion that says you should discriminate against a certain other type of people, then is that religion worth believing in any way?
Well, that's a very difficult thing to say, because I think a lot of religions have this issue, so and they do discriminate. But anyway,
let's bring it back, right? Let's bring it back to the photography aspect of it, and as photographers. So he says, okay, which I don't agree with here. Like any other artist, I want to create photography that I believe in. Okay, and then he says, I believe that marriage is meant to be a unique and sacrificial relationship. Okay, so forget the fact that it's a wedding and that, but he says, like any other artist, I want to create photography that I believe in. And you see, that to me, I don't believe that every single artist out there ever, of whatever form of art they're doing, have always created art, whether it's photography or painting, whatever, in something that they believe in. Because when you are working in the commercial world, you give the customer what they want, even if you don't like it, even if you don't believe in it, even if you think, nah, I don't get it, but you know what? It's what they wanted. Oh God, I hate that picture, but it's what the customer wanted.
Yeah.
So I'm not creating photography there that I believe in. Okay, so I think that first of all sort of sprung out to me when I read the article, because that's poppycock. Right?
Yeah, no, it is. It absolutely is, because I mean, we were talking about product photography earlier on. I know you do some. I mean, that you might have to take a photograph of a bottle of whiskey that you don't particularly like. Well,
I might not be a drinker. Yeah. I might be anti-alcohol. I might be an alcoholic. Okay,
but that's an interesting one, because if you were anti-alcohol, you refused to do, let's say you were you are a very good product photographer, but let's say you were the best, most renowned product photographer in the whole wide world, and everybody and their dog wanted you to take their photographs of their products, right? Yeah. And let's say Jack Daniels wanted to do it, and because you're not and you don't drink, and you think maybe alcohol is a bad thing and we shouldn't be promoting alcohol, and you quite categorically said no, because I don't believe we should be promoting alcohol. You have the right to say no, don't you?
You do. However, the one thing I would say about that is, let's just say that let's just say it's a £10,000 contract or something that you've got. Are you then going to turn that away?
You might do if you feel strongly about it,
right? If you feel strongly about it, but the thing is like how far do you take that? If you can afford to say, hey, I'm not going to do that, and then fine, happy days, right? If you can actually afford financially to say, no, I'm not going to do it, that's fine. But if you're turning work away when you can't afford to because of your principles, then that's a different thing.
Well, some might disagree.
I know. Yeah.
Some might disagree. I mean, I guess the difference as well with this is if you said no to Jack Daniels wouldn't turn around and sue you for not doing it, which is
No.
what's happened here. This couple
Yeah.
has obviously gone, I've taken exception to that. This is discrimination. We're going to take this to court. Where, and I know it's a different thing. I know one is about discrimination of people, but it's still, the photographer has the beliefs, whether you agree with those beliefs or not. And I don't agree with that person, the photographer's beliefs.
I mean, really, but, could he have not just said that he was fully booked? I mean,
well, that did cross my mind as well.
Right? Yeah. He said, "Look, I'm just not available." Okay, that's why. I mean, is this a little ploy? Okay, is this a little bit? Is this a little bit of free advertising?
Well,
okay, because
maybe I shouldn't have mentioned his name,
right? Because there's going to be a lot of people out there who are, against same-sex couples, and thinking that's the photographer that that's the photographer
for me.
I want to use. Hey, look, we're using, we're using this photographer who is who has got the same principles as us. This could be
he could have done. He absolutely could have done. But then I guess he would say, "Why should I?
Yeah.
I should be able to say no. I don't believe in saying, do you know what I mean? He should be. His point would be, well, no, I can completely legitimately say this is my beliefs, and I don't have to hide it."
Yeah, it says, he claims his work qualifies as a personal creative expression protected by the Constitution. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but if he claims his work qualifies as a personal creative expression, well, does it? Is it really a personal creative expression? Because you're guided very much about by the wedding that you're actually shooting.
I guess.
So I think there's a lot of there's a lot of flaws in all of this. I've not said whether I think you were saying that the right decision was made. I don't know enough about the case to be able to say either way, other than what we're reading. Just saying that I think it's just all a bit flawed and it's treading dangerous ground or dodgy ground.
Yeah, I think it's about the right of a business to refuse a client. I think no matter who the client is, no matter what it is. I think it's, don't get me wrong, I think it's morally wrong. I think, it's always the same with this freedom of speech. Yes, I have the right to say what I want to say, but you also should think, should I say it? And I guess that's the same with this. I agree the photographer has the right to say no, because I disagree with your lifestyle or whatever. It doesn't mean I agree with that guy's point of view, because I really don't. And there's probably a lot better photographers out there that will do a much better job than Bob Lovedegrove or whatever his name is.
Now, I just wanted to say another thing, because I was looking through some of the comments here, and somebody says, well, would you refuse to do, the job for if it was a paedophile? Now, right now, this is interesting because it's a paedophile. Okay, so you can say, I'm not going to do it because this person is a paedophile. Now, that person, you're saying that on the grounds that this person is breaking the law. This person is doing no good. But a couple who are in a same-sex marriage might be the most upstanding citizens, might be good people. Okay, so there's no need to discriminate against them. But then this guy's probably thinking, well, the Bible says, what it actually says, and that's the law that I'm governed by. It's when it comes to it, as far as discrimination is concerned, anyone that discriminates against anyone, if in my opinion, is not somebody that I particularly want to relate with, especially if they discriminate, because there's good and bad in all sorts of people. Somebody might discriminate against somebody because of their religious beliefs, but that's wrong to discriminate against somebody about their religious beliefs. But if you're discriminating because that person is a paedophile, then that's a different thing. Oh, this is really dodgy ground. This is
well, it is. Yeah, I have to say, as soon as you say, the paedophile thing, it probably isn't the right comparison, because paedophilia is illegal, and thank heavens, being gay is not illegal anymore, which is, it should never have been in the first place, obviously.
I mean, if a drug dealer came, if you knew that this was a drug dealer, then you can sort of turn around and say, well, actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't care if this person is gay or straight. It doesn't really bother me. It doesn't matter to me what this person's religious beliefs are. But he's a drug dealer and he's well known. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
That's a different thing.
And but you should have the right to say that. I guess.
He should have just said he was fully booked. As I said,
that's what he should have said.
Unavailable. And that would have been. It would have been.
It would have saved himself a lot of issues.
Yeah, that's right.
Obviously, he probably believed that he doesn't need to do that.
It also to do with where he lives. It could be very much. It is America. I don't know enough about America and certain places, but Virginia. Is it particularly religious? It could be the people that he surrounds himself with.
Might be.
It's also so he's obviously dictated to or influenced rather by his surroundings as well. So
no, absolutely. So it's a tricky one. It is a tricky one.
Yeah.
But just go somewhere else if someone says no to you, because
exactly.
just go somewhere else, because at the end of the day, also customers have the right to choose who they want to have their photographer. Who their photographer is. So I think I think it should work both ways, to be honest. But just go. There's probably a lot better photographers out there than this guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah.